Before our wedding, Ethan Foster was kidnapped on his way to pick up my wedding dress. He survived, but he lost his memory of me. Even mentioning the wedding would make him faint. The doctor said it was a form of PTSD that triggered a second personality. Just then, I found out I was pregnant, and the doctor said, the arrival of the child might awaken the him who deeply loves you. I went to him with the pregnancy test results, full of hope, but I accidentally overheard him and his friends joking around, "Ethan, you're something," even making up a second personality to escape the wedding. "Are you planning a third, fourth?" "No way. I love Chelsea Graham. I'll only lie to her this once. I'll stop after sleeping with 10. Only 10? That's not enough to unlock all the positions. If you ask me, you should keep up the act for another year or so. Chelsea Graham is determined to marry you anyway." He rebuked his buddies with a cold face. "I can't bear to see her sad for so long. Hurry up and get me some girls. I want seductive virgins, one every 3 days. I can't let anything delay my wedding with Chelsea." Trembling, I tore up the pregnancy test results and went to the hospital to schedule an abortion. The doctor was surprised to see me back so soon and thought I wasn't feeling well. When she found out I wanted an abortion, she was incredulous. "This child was conceived with such difficulty. If you terminate it, it might worsen your fiancé's condition." I shook my head with a wry smile. If I told him, he'd probably collapse. After all, he was indulging in the pleasure of flirting with countless women, unable to extricate himself. I couldn't understand how the man who had begged me to marry him could fake an illness to deceive me. The doctor couldn't persuade me otherwise, so when signing the surgical consent form, she insisted on calling Ethan Foster over. "Miss Graham, this child isn't just yours. Even if he doesn't want the child now because of his illness, he should still come to sign the consent form and be with you during the surgery. If there's a misunderstanding, you can clear it up face to face." I gently stroked my stomach and didn't stop her. It was because I had polycystic ovary syndrome, and getting pregnant was already difficult. Ethan Foster didn't care at all. He even fell out with his parents to marry me. Now that I was giving up the child, he should at least be there to see it off. However, as soon as the doctor spoke, he sneered, "How much did Chelsea Graham pay you to put on this act?" "I told you, I don't know her at all, let alone marry her. Please tell her to stop using these tricks to force me into marriage. It's questionable whether the child is even mine." The beeping sound and his merciless sneer echoed in the silent operating room. I signed the consent form myself and closed my eyes. When I woke up in the operating room, there were several messages on my phone. All from Ethan Foster. "Regardless of what we were like before, now I'm me, and you're you. If you have the energy to find someone to act and deceive me, you might as well move out of my house." He was very thoughtful and rented me a fully furnished apartment in the same neighborhood/community. He even paid for a month's rent. To avoid any suspicion, the lease was for a year. "Consider it a favor for knowing each other. You don't have to pay me back." I looked at the mass of bloody tissue and replied calmly, "Okay, thank you." I'd treat the rent as the last bit of responsibility he fulfilled for the child. He didn't contact me for 3 days while I was hospitalized. But his social media was filled with parties and drinking every night. It was as if he was trying to make up for all the youthful recklessness he had missed out on because of me. I knew he was posting it for me to see. My other account, which he was also following, couldn't see these updates at all. I did as he wished and liked all the videos. When I went to check out of THE hospital, I ran into him and a doctor rushing down the hallway with a gurney. He turned his head and pretended not to see me when he saw me. But I heard the emergency doctor arranging for an operating room 1, prepare Rh-negative blood. The patient has a ruptured corpus luteum and is hemorrhaging severely, needing a blood transfusion. What? No stock? The emergency doctor hung up the phone and quickly informed Ethan Foster of the situation. He had ignored me just moments before, but he suddenly stopped and ran toward me. Chelsea Graham, if you're willing to donate blood to Sophia Miller, I won't mind you stalking me. I was stunned. I wasn't stalking you. All right, stop arguing. Saving lives is more important. He grabbed my arm and dragged me toward the doctor. She's Rh negative. Take as much as you want. I couldn't break free, so I asked him with a cold smile, "Don't you claim you don't know me? How do you know I have rare blood?" I stared at him, waiting for his answer. Ethan Foster scratched his head and said impatiently, "Is this the time to be arguing about this? Since you say we've loved each other for 6 years, isn't it normal for me to realize you have rare blood in a moment of crisis?" But I had just had an abortion, and I was still bleeding. How could I donate blood? Even if I met the requirements for donating blood at that moment, why should I donate blood to clean up his mess? I just had an abortion, I can't donate. Find someone else. Ethan Foster was furious. Chelsea Graham, you keep saying you love me, but now you don't want to help donate blood? You're even lying about having an abortion. I never thought you could be so heartless. No wonder I can't remember ever loving you. He was right. If he loved me, he wouldn't have faked an illness to deceive me, and he wouldn't be blind to my pale face. He certainly wouldn't force me to donate blood to his mistress. The medical equipment beside us started beeping wildly. The emergency doctor didn't want to waste any more time and rushed the patient to the emergency room first. Ethan Foster tried to drag me over to draw blood, but I refused to move. In his anger, he lifted me. "Chelsea Graham, whether you like it or not, I owe you this. I'll marry you on our wedding day." All my struggles ceased at that moment. For the sake of him saving my life once, I'd treat it as paying off a debt. Watching the bright red blood flow into the blood bag, my heart turned cold. After the blood draw, Ethan Foster rushed to the operating room with the nurse. Staring at his back, I whispered, "Ethan Foster, we're even." As I walked out of the blood donation room, I felt dizzy and blacked out. When I woke up again, the doctor wanted to scold me, but in the end, it turned into a sigh. "Take care of yourself. In your condition, you can't donate blood for at least 6 months." I smiled and said okay. As the doctor left, the young nurse couldn't help but whisper to her, "Why didn't you tell her we couldn't reach her emergency contact? What if the patient misunderstands us?" She won't misunderstand. That girl knows exactly what's going on, it's just a pity she met the wrong person. I picked up my phone and saw that the doctor had called Ethan Foster a dozen times again, but none of them were answered. Instead, he sent me a message scolding me, "Chelsea Graham, can you stop making a scene? Know your place, okay?" At that moment, I was glad he didn't answer the phone. Otherwise, I couldn't imagine how cruelly he would humiliate me. I didn't reply to him and stayed in bed for a whole day before I had the strength to walk. The sun was shining brightly outside, so I went to the hospital's sky garden to sunbathe, and I accidentally ran into Ethan Foster's friends. Each of them was holding different fruit baskets and flowers. I thought they were here to see me, and I couldn't help but turn away. Who knew they'd surround me and size up my hospital gown with a tease? Look, oh, so you knew Ethan was at the hospital with his girlfriend, and you're faking an illness to play the victim? It's just donating a little blood. Do you have to make yourself look so weak? Not to mention, the makeup on your face is very natural, not awkward at all. We always said you were a scheming woman, but Ethan wouldn't believe us. Ethan Foster's friends always thought I wasn't good enough for him. If he hadn't pushed them to call me sister-in-law, they wouldn't have accepted me. Now, to cooperate with Ethan Foster, they could say whatever they wanted without restraint. Ethan Foster, who came downstairs to pick them up, was stunned when he saw me, then frowned. Chelsea Graham, is this really necessary? I already agreed to have a wedding with you. Are you paying off the doctor to fake an illness and stalk me? Is that fun? Do you know you're suffocating me like this? I'm telling you the truth, if you're like this after we get married, we'll get divorced sooner or later. There's no need for so much trouble. I don't need you to marry me. In our 6 years of dating, he had always been free. When he wanted to drink, I would quietly accompany him without urging him. If I weren't fit to be there, I would immediately pick him up when he told me. When he was drunk, I would take care of him comfortably without complaint. When he wanted to travel alone with his friends, I would buy the tickets for them and plan everything. Even when he offered to let me check his phone, I wouldn't check. I loved him, and I didn't want to repeat the tragedy of my mom forcing my dad to divorce because she was too controlling. I thought I had always been managing the distance in our relationship well. At least before his accident, we were always as close as glue and as passionate as when we first fell in love. But now I realized that my love was suffocating him. So, was that the real reason he faked an illness to pursue excitement? Our eyes met, and I couldn't a trace of affection in his eyes. The questions I almost blurted out were swallowed down. Ethan Foster frowned as he looked at me, grabbed a bouquet of lilies from his friend, and shoved it into my arms. All right, stop being greedy after getting a bargain. Take the flowers and leave. He thought I was still the little girl who would be satisfied with a small gift. He also didn't believe that I, who was determined to marry him, would not marry him. I handed the flowers back to his friend. These are for your girlfriend. It's not appropriate for me to take them. Donating blood was my choice. You don't have to force yourself to marry me. A sense of panic welled up in Ethan Foster's heart. Shouldn't Chelsea Graham be cheering? Why did she keep emphasizing that she didn't need him to marry her? Could she be angry? Anxiety flashed in his eyes. Chelsea, His friends coughed one after another, and he immediately changed his tune. Chelsea, I'm a man of my word. But I just smiled. Hurry up and go be with your girlfriend. I'll go check out of the hospital right away. Getting my generous reply, Ethan Foster's heart skipped a beat again. He felt that I was different today, but he couldn't say where the difference was. Seeing him hesitate, his friends put their arms around his shoulders and pulled him away. All right, stop looking, or Sophia Miller will get jealous in a minute. It's just acting out a sob story and then playing hard to get. Women's tricks are all the same, and you're the only one who's so naive and easily fooled. Exactly. Look at the mess you've made. You're not a kid anymore. How could you get someone into hemorrhaging? Luckily, Sophia Miller is generous and doesn't hold it against you, unlike some people who force marriage after donating blood. Hearing their words, which were deliberately meant for me to hear, I didn't feel the heartache I had imagined, but I felt a chill all over my body. Even though the sun was shining brightly, it could and warm me. Watching them leave, I checked out of the hospital. While Ethan Foster wasn't home, I called a cleaning lady to help me pack. The cleaning lady was stunned when she saw the newly decorated bridal suite. Girl, are you throwing away all these brand new wedding decorations? Yes, the groom is dead, they're useless. The cleaning lady immediately apologized and comforted me. To prevent me from being overwhelmed by the scene, she first took care of the wedding photos and dozens of photo albums of Ethan Foster and me. In half a day, my carefully decorated home no longer had a trace of happiness. A cold, empty house, a cold, empty me. The cleaning lady looked at the dozen or so bags of items that proved our love and couldn't help but sigh and shake her head. Girl, look on the bright side. I nodded with a smile. After the cleaning lady left, I made sure there was no trace of me in the bridal suite, deleted my fingerprint access, and left with my suitcase. I didn't go to the apartment Ethan Foster rented for me. Instead, I found a postpartum care center and stayed there. Learning that I had a miscarriage, the receptionist specially found me a quiet floor. After a few days of peace, I suddenly received a surveillance notification on my phone. I then remembered that I had forgotten to log out of the bridal suite's surveillance account. I accidentally clicked on it, and a scene of Ethan Foster and his girlfriend kissing passionately as they entered the house appeared before my eyes. But after seeing the state of the house, he pushed Sophia Miller away. "What's going on here?" He took out his phone to call me, but Sophia Miller snatched it away after it rang for only a second. "Stop it! What are you thinking about your ex when you're with me? Focus!" Sophia Miller hooked her arms around his neck and deftly slipped her hand inside his shirt, heading straight down. Ethan Foster couldn't wait any longer and pressed her against the wall for a kiss, wishing he could devour her whole. Even during my first time with Ethan Foster, he had never been so unrestrained and crazy. In a moment, their clothes were scattered all over the floor. "Honey, I just got out of the hospital. You have to be gentle today." Ethan Foster, pushed to the limit, begged Sophia Miller with red eyes. "Baby, I've been holding back for so long. Why don't you take the lead?" Sophia Miller gave him a sultry look and caressed his chin. "That depends on your performance. Who do you love more, me or your ex-girlfriend?" Breathing heavily, Ethan Foster's eyes turned cold. "Chelsea Graham is my fiancé. Who do you think I love more? We agreed from the beginning that we'd get what we wanted from each other. If your body weren't so delicate, it wouldn't be your turn to serve me now." Sophia Miller immediately got off him, pouted, and burst into tears. "I almost lost my life trying to please you. Go find someone else if you can." Ethan Foster was most afraid of women crying, so he quickly held her in his arms and kissed her gently, until Sophia Miller was panting repeatedly. I stared blankly as they moved from the sofa to the master bedroom and then to the bathroom, realizing once again that Ethan Foster didn't love me. After his accident, I secretly cried every day, but he couldn't see my swollen eyes. He even called me dramatic and told me not to use tears to blackmail him. He even openly put his arms around various women and said that even if he had loved me, it wasn't wrong for him to play around now. I was incredibly grateful that I didn't keep the child. Because he is obsessed with Sophia Miller's body, he would continue to be with her even if he married me. After all, I couldn't learn Sophia Miller's skills. As the moans started up again, I exited the screen and logged out of the account. The next day, I was woken up by a call from Ethan Foster. It was the first time he had called me on his own since his accident, but I didn't think there was any need for us to contact each other, so I didn't answer. When he couldn't get through, he sent me a message. "Chelsea Graham, what do you mean by this? I already agreed to marry you. Why did you throw away all the wedding decorations?" I didn't want to be humiliated again, so I decided to hide the truth from him for now. This bridal suite isn't bringing us good luck. I bought an oceanfront mansion and moved there. Just a few seconds after I replied, I received a friend request. The profile picture was of Sophia Miller. I rejected it directly, but she persisted and left a message saying she had intimate videos of Ethan Foster and me. I accepted the friend request, but she sent me intimate videos of her and Ethan Foster instead. As the 2 minutes were about to expire, she deliberately sent a crying emoji. "Oops, sis, I accidentally sent the wrong video. I can't unsend it now. What should I do? It's all my fault for not looking closely. I thought this passionate love scene was you and Ethan, and I was wondering how you could be so amazing that Ethan would be so obsessed with my body. Turns out the leading lady is me. Sis, if I were you, I'd spend some money to learn how to please a man. Otherwise, your soon-to-be husband will fly away." Then, she sent me a payment of $10,000. "This is payment for donating blood to me. I don't want to trade my husband for something that can be solved with money. You're welcome to come to our wedding and have some wedding gifts." Faced with blatant humiliation and provocation, I returned the payment. Consider it an early wedding gift for you too. Wishing you a happy marriage. After blocking Sophia Miller, the days passed uneventfully for half a month, and my body recovered well. It was time to leave. After buying my plane ticket, I realized it was the day of the wedding. Since I was going to stay with my best friend, I went to the jewelry store to pick out a gift for her. When I got to the jewelry store, I remembered that wedding rings I had custom made with Ethan Foster hadn't been picked up yet. I had designed them myself, and I should take them back and get rid of them now. But after checking the records, the clerk told me that Ethan Foster had already picked up the wedding rings. Seeing the pitying expression on her face, I left knowingly. Who knew I would run into Ethan Foster, who was out shopping, right outside the door. He and Sophia Miller were holding hands, and they were wearing the wedding rings I had designed. Seeing my eyes on their hands, he quickly explained, "Chelsea, these wedding rings. You two look great wearing them." After I said that, I turned and left. He wanted to catch up with me, but Sophia Miller stopped him. "Honey, didn't you promise to go wedding dress shopping with me today?" My steps became firmer. In the blink of an eye, the wedding day arrived. I left the postpartum care center and took a cab straight to the airport. At the same time, Ethan Foster's friends, along with a makeup artist and a custom-made wedding dress, went to the apartment he had rented for me to find me. They rang the doorbell for a long time, but no one answered. They were being so loud that they woke up the neighbor across the hall. "No one has lived here. Are you sure you have the right place?" The group of men was stunned. "What do you mean? Didn't a young woman move in here a month ago? She looks like this." They showed the neighbor a photo of me, but the neighbor shook his head in denial. "I've seen her. She's a beautiful neighbor in our neighborhood/community, and she lives in the next building. I haven't seen her since her husband died." "Are you her friends?" Realizing something was wrong, the group of men quickly grabbed the neighbor and pressed him for information. "What are you talking about? Her husband is alive and well. How could he have died? You weren't paid off to act with us, were you? Get her out here now. Her husband has fully recovered, and today is Air wedding day. If she delays the auspicious hour because she's being dramatic, the wedding will have to be postponed again." They shouted at the neighbor's door on purpose. They thought I was hiding in the neighbor's house, so they brazenly barged into the neighbor's house. The neighbor tried to stop them, but it was too late. "I'm telling you, you people are something. You don't even know where your friends live, and you don't even care that her husband died." I'm impressed. Ignoring the neighbor's struggle, the group of men searched the house, but they couldn't find me, so they found a locksmith. They thought I was still hiding in the apartment Ethan Foster had rented for me. They complained to the neighbor with great dissatisfaction. "I've never seen such a dramatic woman. If it wasn't for Ethan, I would have left a long time ago." The neighbor defended me. "Are you her friend? I'm sure she didn't move in here. You should go to her house and check on her. What if something happened to her while she was alone? Come to think of it, I haven't seen her in a long time." The neighbor squinted and suddenly smacked his forehead. "The last time I saw her, she was throwing away a bunch of wedding decorations. I heard her husband died, and it was so sad. Just looking at those photo albums and wedding photos, you could tell she and her husband were very much in love. What a pity!" These people knew how much I treasured my memories with Ethan Foster. Even the soda can tab he used as a ring when he was playing around with me, I treasured it, and bought a fancy box to store it. Now that they heard the neighbor say I had thrown away a dozen bags of a couple of items, they finally realized something was wrong. Just then, the locksmith arrived and opened the door in a few seconds. The group of people rushed in, but they found no signs of anyone living there. Everything was still the way they and Ethan Foster had arranged it. Even the lilies they had put in the vase had long since withered and smelled bad. The whole room was filled with a musty smell from not being ventilated for a long time. The group of people looked at each other, their faces turning pale. Jack Smith, who was in charge, immediately called Ethan Foster. Ethan Foster, who was already at the hotel checking the wedding venue, felt his eyelids twitching wildly as he looked at the ringing phone. He had no choice but to answer the phone. "Ethan, something bad happened. Hurry up and say something lucky. It's my big day." Jack Smith was on the verge of tears and steeled himself. "Ethan, Chelsea Graham didn't move in at all, and I heard your neighbor say that she threw away all the items you had from your 6 years of love, including the photo albums and wedding photos." "What? Impossible. Chelsea said she bought an oceanfront mansion." "Did she move there?" "Ethan, you should have said so earlier. We were scared for nothing. Send us the address of the mansion, and we'll go deliver the wedding dress to your wife." Ethan Foster, on the other end of the phone, suddenly froze. He realized he had no idea where the oceanfront mansion I had bought was. Ethan Foster used his connections to check the properties under my name at the Housing Bureau. But he found that I didn't own any real estate at all. Even the former bridal suite was no longer in my name. Ethan Foster finally realized something was wrong and rushed to go home from the hotel. Sophia Miller, who had appeared out of nowhere, was wearing a snow-white wedding dress and blocking him at the front door. "Honey, Chelsea Graham is angry that you forced her to donate blood. How could a petty woman like that be worthy of you? The auspicious hour is almost here, and the guests are waiting. Why don't you marry me instead? I'm willing to serve you comfortably for the rest of my life." As she spoke, she drew circles on Ethan Foster's lower abdomen. If it were any other time, Ethan Foster would have been so aroused by her that he would have taken her right then and there. But today, he slapped Sophia Miller's hand away and said coldly, "Sophia Miller, I've made myself very clear. From today on, you and I are strangers. If you cause Chelsea to refuse to marry me, I won't mind telling your father where you are." Sophia Miller's eyes immediately turned red, and she cried like a pear blossom in the rain. "Honey, are you not moved by me at all? Were you lying when you said you wished you could die on top of me?" Ethan Foster couldn't stand Sophia Miller's tears any longer. Anxious to get home, he pushed Sophia Miller to the ground. "My wife can only be Chelsea. I'm going to pick her up now. Please disappear from my life from now on." The ruthless and heartless Ethan Foster kicked Sophia Miller away, who was trying to pounce on him, and hurriedly got into the car and left. He ran more than a dozen red lights to get back to the neighborhood/community. His legs were so weak that he could barely stand. However, the property surveillance footage showed the cleaning lady throwing out the trash very clearly. Those things I had treasured were being ruthlessly thrown away as trash. At that moment, Ethan Foster's heart was pierced by 1,000 arrows. He clutched his chest and called me with a pale face. But he found that no one would answer the phone anymore. When he opened social media, he realized that he hadn't said a word to me for 17 days. For those 17 days, he had enjoyed physical pleasure and excitement to the fullest, completely forgetting that I existed in his life. If it hadn't been for the memo reminding him last night, he wouldn't have remembered that he was getting married. Even though he was reluctant to part with Sophia Miller, he still decided to marry me according to the wedding date. After all, those 17 days were the most carefree and unrestrained days of his life, and my obedience was worth rewarding me with a wedding as scheduled. But the current situation left him completely at a loss. He stammered, like a child who had lost his parents, and kept asking his friends, "What should I do? Does Chelsea not want me anymore? When she said she didn't need me to marry her that day, was she planning to leave me all along?" His friends couldn't bear to see him so distraught and quickly tried to comfort him. "Ethan, which man doesn't play around with women? Chelsea Graham is just having a temporary moment of confusion. After all, if she leaves you, she won't be able to find someone who loves her more than you. That's right, Ethan, you have to believe that Chelsea Graham will be back in a few days. If you ask me, you should have a fake wedding with Sophia Miller. Chelsea Graham is eloping because she's confident that you love her and that you'll marry her as promised, so she wants to give you a warning so that she can control you tightly after the wedding. If you lose your composure because of this, your future days will probably be hell. Hope gradually lit up in Ethan Foster's eyes. He nodded hastily. That's right, that's what we'll do. Chelsea Graham once said that in this life, I'm her man in life, and her ghost in death. If she sees me marrying Sophia Miller, she definitely won't be able to hide. Then let's hurry back and have the wedding, preferably with a live broadcast. That way, as soon as Chelsea Graham contacts me, I can immediately tell her that it's all just an act. After the plane landed in Los Angeles, my best friend Nia Cheryl gave me a big hug. Welcome, my Chelsea Graham princess, to the beginning of a new life. The tears I had been holding back for so long finally burst forth uncontrollably at that moment. This made Nia Cheryl ask me somewhat uncertainly, Chelsea Graham, are you not regretting eloping? It's no wonder Nia Cheryl had this question. From the moment I told her I was going to elope and break up with Ethan Foster, she was stunned. Ethan Foster and I were each other's first loves, and we'd been the model couple in our circle from college until now. Everyone envied the sweetness of our love even after so many years. Some people would even come to me for advice on how to maintain a perfect relationship and marriage when they argued. At that time, I would tell them my secrets one by one with a smile that an AK couldn't suppress. And my secrets helped many couples get back on track, blossom, and live happily ever after. So, everyone urged me to publish a book and become an expert. But who would have thought that I could guide others to manage their relationships and marriage as well, but I couldn't save my love. Chelsea Graham, aren't you always saying that we need to be self-consistent? After all, there are no perfect men, and we can't abandon Ethan Foster just because he's sick. I don't believe he can forget the past when you two loved each other so passionately. Yes, I didn't believe it either. At this point, I wasn't planning on hiding anything from Nia Cheryl anymore. When she heard the whole story, Nia Cheryl was so angry that she wanted to buy a plane ticket to beat up that scumbag for me. I grabbed her and pulled her back. He's not worth me wasting another second on him. Trust me, he'll love the big gift I'm sending him. Nia Cheryl didn't believe I would be willing to take revenge on Ethan Foster. In an incredibly calm voice, I told her about how I was pregnant, had a miscarriage, and was forced to donate blood. She immediately felt so sorry for me that her tears started falling. The two of us hugged each other and cried our hearts out in the crowded airport. After crying, she became even more determined to go back and beat up that scumbag for me. Chelsea Graham, if he doesn't love you, the big gift you send him won't have any effect as revenge at all. The reason I was hiding it from Nia Cheryl was that I was worried she would act impulsively. Just then, my phone pushed a live stream of someone I might know. To divert Nia Cheryl's attention, I opened the live stream. Who knew it turned out to be Ethan Foster and Sophia Miller's wedding live stream? I quickly tried to exit, but Nia Cheryl had already seen it. She grabbed the phone and flew into a rage. Scumbag! Bitch! Marrying another woman at the wedding where he promised to marry you, was he just playing with your feelings from beginning to end? I couldn't help but smile bitterly. I even wondered if the 6 years of what I thought was deep love had all been wishful thinking on my part. Fortunately, I left. Ethan Foster, you'll never have the chance to hurt me again. Nia Cheryl was furious. She took out her phone and contacted a bunch of friends, and then a group of people cursed Ethan Foster in unison on the public screen. To avoid being banned by the platform, these venom-tongued monsters used all sorts of sarcastic remarks to curse him, which made me feel extremely comfortable. Just as he and Sophia Miller were exchanging rings, Jack Smith suddenly ran onto the stage and whispered a few words in his ear. Ethan Foster suddenly shouted excitedly into the camera, "Chelsea Graham, I know you're watching the live stream. My wedding with Sophia Miller is fake, because I can't find you, so I can only use this method to find you. Chelsea Graham, my first personality, is back. Chelsea Graham, the man who loved you like his life, is back. Do you still remember this wedding dress? I'm waiting for you to come back and wear it to marry me." He took the wedding dress from Jack Smith's hand and described the inspiration behind his design in detail. Every sentence was telling how much he loved me, but I found it extremely ironic. If he loved me, how could he betray me and cheat? If he loved me, how could he let me have an abortion alone? If he loved me, how could he not believe me and force me to donate blood? If he loved me, how could he bring Sophia Miller back to our bridal suite and sleep with her? If he loved me, how could he give the wedding ring H.E. designed to Sophia Miller? Just then, I received a text message reminder on my phone. It was a package I sent to Ethan Foster, and it was already being delivered. As the delivery person moved closer and closer to the banquet hall, I couldn't help but look forward to it more and more. Who knew that Sophia Miller would realize that Ethan Foster had only used her as a tool to hold the wedding with her, and she immediately refused to go along with it. She started crying, making a scene, and threatening to hang herself, insisting on finishing the wedding. She even acted like she was Mrs. Foster. Jack Smith and the others immediately and wisely dragged Sophia Miller to the center of the stage. Ethan Foster knelt on one knee in front of the camera and shouted affectionately, "Chelsea Graham, you must be watching, right? I know everything that my second personality did. I didn't expect him to be so despicable and hurt you so deeply, but my first personality is innocent. I didn't mean to hurt you like this. When I went to get the wedding dress, I was kidnapped and almost killed. The only thing I could think about was that I couldn't die. I had to live and come back to marry you. I just love you so much that I activated my second personality when my life was on the line. The doctor said that my second personality is more resourceful and brave, so I was able to escape. If I hadn't heard the truth with my ears, I really would have believed his lies. After all, when the doctor told me, I was even glad that his second personality was unruly, resourceful, and brave. But I never expected that his so-called resourcefulness and bravery would be used to deal with me. I grabbed Nia Cheryl, who was still typing furiously on the public screen. "Stop cursing. I'm afraid you'll make him feel good. If he has any feelings for me, he might be in pain later." Nia Cheryl didn't believe it. I didn't believe it either. But a betrayed heart needs to do something to find relief. The deli. Very person finally appeared in the banquet hall, just a few feet away from Ethan Foster. He shouted to the crowd, who were all discussing the situation, "Who is Ethan Foster? There's a package for you." Ethan Foster, who was deeply regretting his actions, didn't want to bother with the package at all. Jack Smith ran over to sign for him, but the delivery person shook his head. "This was sent by Ms. Chelsea Graham to Ethan Foster. He has to sign for it himself." When Ethan Foster heard that it was sent by me, he immediately jumped up and didn't forget to have the cameraman switch angles. He signed for the package with a smile on his face. The way he was beaming with joy gradually overlapped with the way he had cried with joy when he proposed to me, and I said yes. But I knew clearly that he was no longer the man who only had eyes for me. Our love had long since disappeared because of my self-righteousness. Ethan Foster shouted excitedly into the camera, "Chelsea Graham, I knew you wouldn't leave without saying goodbye. This must be the gift you prepared for our wedding, right? Everyone, please help fill the screen with blessings. I'm going to show you the surprise now." The curses from Nia Cheryl and her friends were immediately drowned out by all sorts of blessings. Ethan Foster looked at the popularity of the live stream with satisfaction, raised the package high, and shouted, "Everyone, shout your blessings louder and more enthusiastically." I want the whole internet to know that I love Chelsea Graham. The popularity of the live stream soared, and unfamiliar people who didn't know what was going on also poured in to send their blessings. Ethan Foster asked me affectionately into the camera, "Chelsea Graham, can you see this? My love for you is as clear as day. Tell me where you are, and I'll come pick you up as soon as I open the package." He opened the package and took out a glass bottle first. Inside the clear glass, the mass of embryonic tissue that couldn't be made out was particularly eerie. The guests in the front row were all shocked and uncertain. A gynecologist was the first to speak up. "Isn't that undeveloped embryonic tissue?" As her words fell, Ethan Foster also took out a piece of paper. His eyes stared fixedly at the abortion bill, and his body began to tremble uncontrollably. I never knew that the man I had loved for 6 years could act so well. His eyes were bloodshot, and large drops of tears poured out. He murmured, "Impossible. How could it be? Chelsea Graham, you must be punishing me for forgetting you. Chelsea Graham, I was wrong, I was wrong." He took out a voice recorder from the package. He held on to the last bit of hope and pressed the play button several times before finally turning it on. But he heard the sound of him and his buddies joking around. "I'll only lie to her this once. I'll quit after I sleep with 10 more. Aren't you guys going to get me some girls? I want sexy virgins, one every 3 days." Ethan Foster couldn't hold on to the recorder any longer and let it fall to the ground. But the recording was still playing over and over again. The memories of the past gradually overwhelmed him. He suddenly remembered that it was that night that the doctor called him and asked him to go to the hospital to sign the papers. What did he say? He said it wasn't even certain if the child was his. That's probably when Chelsea Graham gave up on him. He didn't dare to think about whether the ending would have been different if he had gone to the hospital that day. This was the child he had been longing for. Even if he didn't care whether Chelsea Graham could have children, deep down, he wanted a crystallization of his love with her. But the person who personally killed the child was himself. He let the woman he loved have an abortion alone, stay in the hospital alone, and even kicked her out of the house. He didn't care about her at all, and he even refused to believe her. And forced her to donate blood when she was at her weakest and most heartbroken. He thought of the dozen or so missed calls that night. He was sure that something else must have happened that night. He took out his phone without hesitation and dialed the hospital's OB/GYN department according to the prompt. When he found out that Chelsea Graham had fainted behind him because of donating blood, he couldn't hold back his grief any longer. Ethan Foster held the glass bottle tightly and slapped himself hard with his right hand without hesitation. His parents had been watching the show for a long time and couldn't bear to see their son torture himself and embarrass himself any further. One went on stage to end the playback of the recording, and the other ordered all live streams to be shut down. But Ethan Foster pushed them away, his eyes bloodshot. "Don't move. No one is allowed to turn off the camera. All of this is my fault. I'm going to admit my mistake and repent in front of the whole internet." He knelt straight in front of the camera, ignoring his swollen face. "Chelsea Graham, I know you're watching the live stream. I deserve to die. I shouldn't have come up with such a clumsy idea to hurt you to have fun. I'm a complete scumbag, but Chelsea Graham, I love you. I can't imagine how I'm going to live without you." I couldn't help but sneer. Belated affection is indeed cheaper than grass. He doesn't know how happy he's been without me. Even after he blacklisted Sophia Miller, she would use other strangers' phones to send me messages to provoke me. Either she would tell me how many times a day she and Ethan Foster were together, or she would praise him for unlocking new positions that were particularly exciting. Or she would say that she was so exhausted by him that she couldn't get out of bed for 3 days, while Ethan Foster was being drained dry by her. She would even parrot Ethan Foster's words that I was a dead fish and repeatedly use T. Hem to mock me. If he had just broken up with me openly and then found 100 or so women, I wouldn't have thought he was a bad person, and I wouldn't have regretted ever loving him. But he chose this way to humiliate and disgust me. After living together day and night for 6 years, I was so blind. Ethan Foster was still crying into the camera, but I didn't want to watch him act any longer. I pulled Nia Cheryl to a restaurant to enjoy some food. But Nia Cheryl didn't want to miss any opportunity to curse Ethan Foster, and she didn't even have time to eat. When she said that Ethan Foster cried until he almost fainted, I just felt bored. If I had known this would happen, why did I do it in the first place? Needless to say, his repentance only earned him curses from the entire internet. Sophia Miller was also scolded mercilessly. But Sophia Miller didn't think it was embarrassing at all. Instead, she thought it was her chance. She picked up the wedding dress that was already a little dirty, smiled, and walked step by step towards Ethan Foster, finally kneeling in front of him. She confessed to him affectionately, "Ethan, since Chelsea Graham eloped, it means she doesn't love you at all. It's just a small test, and she irresponsibly aborted your child." That's the best proof. Ethan Foster, who was immersed in his world of pain, raised his head and looked at Sophia Miller. He was no longer as gentle as he used to be and grabbed her neck tightly. "Bitch! It's all your fault. If you hadn't seduced me, how could I have not noticed anything? If I had discovered that Chelsea Graham knew the truth sooner, I would have had countless opportunities to make up for it, instead of not even knowing where she is now." Sophia Miller's eyes were bulging out, but he wouldn't let go. The live stream was forced to shut down because it was too violent. Nia Cheryl finally had time to eat. She stabbed the steak hard with her fork. "Scumbag! Don't let me see him, AG. I'll beat him every time I see him." I thought that as long as I didn't show up, Ethan Foster wouldn't be able to find me. So when he appeared in front of me a month later, I couldn't believe that the person stopping me was him. The once handsome man now had sunken cheekbones and a pale face like a dead person. His once thick hair was now sparse. When he saw me, he habitually reached out to pull his hair again. His fingertips immediately pulled down a large handful of hair. The amount of hair he was losing was more than I lost in a week. I thought he was sick and quickly backed away. He realized what he had done and quickly threw the hair in his hand away, staring at me with bright eyes. Feeling his gaze tracing the contours of my face, I turned around and walked away in disgust. "Chelsea Graham, I finally found you. Chelsea Graham, do you know how I've spent the past month? If I can't see you again, I really won't be able to live. How can you be so cruel, saying you'd leave me and just leave me?" He was extremely aggrieved and eagerly wanted to grab my hand. I shook him off, took a step back, and bumped into Nia Cheryl, who was holding a milkshake. When she saw Ethan Foster, she immediately stuffed the milkshake into my hand and started rolling up her sleeves to find a handy tool. Ethan Foster didn't seem to notice at all and kept smiling foolishly at me. "Chelsea Graham, you're even more beautiful than before. I miss you so much, my heart aches. If you don't believe me, touch it." Nia Cheryl was extremely anxious and picked up a glass and smashed it hard on the back of his hand. "I'll let you touch it." Without any tools, Nia Cheryl went in with her bare hands. I was afraid that Ethan Foster would fight back and quickly stop Nia Cheryl. But Ethan Foster knelt in front of me again. "Chelsea Graham, hit me. You two hit me together. As long as it lets you vent your anger, anything is fine. Chelsea Graham, go find a tool. Don't be silly and use your hands. I'll feel bad if you hurt your hands." He sincerely asked me to hit him to seek psychological relief. But why should I dirty my hands to make him feel better? "Ethan Foster, it's over between us. Please leave me alone." He didn't believe that I didn't love him anymore and desperately swore to me, even kneeling on broken glass until his knees were bleeding, but he didn't feel anything. Chelsea Graham, Sophia Miller dared to provoke you. I've already personally sent her home, and her father sold her to a 60-year-old man to get some benefits. She won't be able to bully you again in the future. I've also broken off all contact with those fairweather friends like Jack Smith and the others. I promise that I'll focus on you and live our wonderful life together from now on. Unfortunately, I'll never believe him again. I'll never forget the way he coldly and ruthlessly scolded me. I don't want to remember the passionate scenes between him and other women either. Everything should end completely with my departure. I pulled Nia Cheryl and walked away, bypassing him. He crawled to my feet, using both his hands and feet, and hugged my pant legs tightly, crying bitterly. Chelsea Graham, please, don't leave me, okay? I'll never betray you again in this lifetime. I know that the mistakes I've made are unforgivable, but I've always loved you, and I've never thought about marrying anyone else. I couldn't pull my foot out, and Nia Cheryl was so anxious that she directly picked up a chair to smash him. Ethan Foster didn't dodge and took the hit, spitting out a mouthful of blood, but still not letting go. I just felt extremely annoyed. When Nia Cheryl was about to hit him again, I didn't want to cause a death and stopped her. His eyes lit up with hope again. Chelsea Graham, I knew you still loved me. You can't bear to see me get hurt. Ethan Foster, I've been very happy since I left you. Don't disgust me and don't ruin my happiness, okay? I'm begging you. After I finished speaking, I looked down at him directly, and he, after only raising his eyes for a moment, immediately lowered his head and dared not look at me after seeing the emotionless look in my eyes. He finally let go of my hand. Okay. This word seemed to have used up all his strength. After saying that, he collapsed to the ground and sobbed, attracting onlookers. Nia Cheryl, afraid that others wouldn't know who he was, shouted at the top of her lungs that he was the second personality scumbag who had been popular all over the internet some time ago. Immediately, everyone cursed him, saying that he deserved it. Nia, Cheryl, and I left without looking back. Someone couldn't help but ask him, if you had known this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? But he didn't even dare to cry anymore. He just raised his head and murmured at my back, Chelsea Graham, I'm sorry. He didn't know that I didn't need his apology. I just needed to be worthy of myself. The end.